Hi guys, welcome back to another video. This is Melon, and today in this video we're going to get started on a brand new project focusing on doing up this lovely coffee table that we picked up at the British Art Foundation. As always, we're going to be painting it up with some Neptune paint. We've got the snow, this one that I'm holding is the emulsion, but we're going to be using the eggshell variant. We're also going to be covering up this horrible tile in the middle. For some reason they thought that was a good idea. I don't know who that was, but we're going to be putting a Lego base plate in it instead, so that we have, kind of a nice, playful coffee table, but I'm pretty sure it will look fairly smart from a distance. It's only when you get up close that you realise how childish our furniture is. Alright, let's get started. The first thing we're going to be doing is taking the sander with a 60 grit. This is quite coarse, but we want to get as much of this horrible stain or varnish off as we possibly can. It's a really nice tropical wood. I don't know what the colour is going to be like underneath, but it's really heavy, so I think we have actually got some very nice real wood underneath. We got that hooked up to the Einhell dust extractor to remove as much of the dust as possible. I'm also going to be wearing the ear defenders to preserve as much of my hearing as I possibly can. So I've gone over the table a few times with the sander, and what you'll start to see is a bunch of gunk and stuff building up due to the friction. Because it's heating up the sanding disc and the surface, what will happen is the varnish or the lacquer will get really kind of gooey, and it will stick to your sanding disc. And what you see on the actual table is the lines where it should be sanding, but really it's just dragging stuff across with it. So I'm going to be swapping to a new 60 grit. And yeah, it's just something to look out for, that you're not dragging stuff around rather than actually sanding. So after a bit more sanding, I've come to the conclusion that it's really doing my back in. So I'm going to be putting this on top of the workbench, enlisting the workbench's help once again. Also, I just want to talk about this varnish again. It's still leaving quite a bit of dust, and I had a bit on my leg that was there. I've wiped it off now, but basically you just don't want to breathe it in. So I would not recommend having just a sander with the little dust bag. I mean, that's great for just sanding wood, but with this varnish where we don't know what's in it and we don't know where it's come from, having a really good dust extraction system is key. It's the next day, we got the table on my workbench, and we're just going to get back to sanding. So in the interest of time and getting this project done as soon as possible, I'm going to be switching over to the Makita and the weird dust extraction Ghostbuster stuff they've got going on, because I've only got one battery for my sander. So yeah, let's get going. Who are you gonna call? It's me. I just wanted to talk about the kind of feel of the two different brands that we're using here. So we have the Einhell, which with the dust extractor and a 3 amp and a 2 amp, it came to about £100. So you have a full kit. It also came with some sanding discs, which is quite nice. With the Makita, you have basically £300 worth of stuff here, which I felt like this was a bit smoother, and I did like not having this getting caught on any of the corners because it's up here. Obviously, it does wear on your shoulders quite a bit, but yeah, I felt like this was a bit more of a smoother action than this. I don't think it's 3 times as good, but I do think it is slightly better in terms of the feeling. Just thinking, this kind of a table is kind of a job for a belt sander, because with the orbital sander, you're spending quite a lot of time going over this because it's got very thick lacquer or varnish, and then it's also quite a hard wood, so you know, and it's got like where the joints meet, it's quite uneven. So I think someone's really tried to compensate with the lacquer instead of actually sanding this back when it was made. So yeah, probably the job for a belt sander. Unfortunately, we don't have one here at the moment, but yeah, if you were going to do this and you had access to a belt sander, might be a good idea. So we're going to be scuffing up the edges, the iron hull sander and dust extractor finished charging, just to get, you know, kind of scuff up, give the paint something to heat to. We don't need to do these quite as well because it doesn't look as uneven, and also we're going to be painting it. So I've just realised that, you know, sanding, it can get fairly boring, especially when you're doing it on a piece of furniture like this, where the lacquer is really thick, you're just trying to get a bunch of stuff off. And if it's boring sanding, then it must be amazingly boring watching. So yeah, I'm just going to sand down all these sides. I don't think really you need to see it. I might even cut out some stuff earlier on, but yeah, it's sanding, it's boring. So I'm just going to measure this cut out in the wood. You can see that it's really off. I don't know what it was trying to do, to be honest, but there's not a single straight cut. So yeah, I'm gonna cut a base plate that's bigger, and then we'll kind of trim it down till it fits. We've measured the table and figured it's roughly about a 1:2 aspect ratio. So what we're going to be doing is, this is 64x64 studs. So we're going to remove the tile, and we've come up with the idea of having a 64x32 insert. So we're going to basically cut half of this off, and then we're going to take out the tile, route it out, and make it nice and recessed. Okay, so this is where we keep the bandsaw, and that's the tool we're going to be using to cut out this base plate, just because it's kind of the best one for the job that we have. Okay, so now we're going to take this out. Wear eye protection. This is fun. We picked out the last pieces of slate that were hanging in here. So, and we tried to find the middle using some masking tape. We've marked it up here, and it's ready to be routed out. So now we got the router set up. We're using the corded version, just because it's probably a bit better for cutting out this hardwood. Yeah, we got the rail set up so that hopefully we don't, well, we try and make it as square as possible. So we've now routed out this nice little area so that this will the studs will be perfectly flush, hopefully with that, after we put the hardboard there. And we're also going to have a piece of plywood to fill in this gap, because otherwise this stuff is quite flimsy, so even the hardboard, so you want to have something structural. Also, I've got to clean up all this dust because it's not great. So now what we're doing is just cutting a piece of hardboard so that we can fill in the gap in between the Lego and the side table. So just tension the belt, because you don't want to leave that tensioned, otherwise the belt can like be stressed out, I don't know. I've got the light on already, so just do this. So unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. But I'm just going to show you a little kind of, I don't know, teaser. Here's the 3.6mm plywood that is from our pressure gauge project. Then this piece of hardboard, we've used that in basically everything for the backings, like the Neptune cabinets and the Lego base plate. So unfortunately, that's the end of part 1. Part 2 will be out very shortly, I'm sure. But I just had to get a video out this week. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Who's gonna call? That didn't even work, so we pressed it too hard. Oh, it's good.
Who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters. I tried saying that, but I switched it on too early.
It depends.
Oh yeah, good there. Wow, I look so good.
You can blue it.
Yeah. Yeah. I am demolition expert.
See if it works as a trampoline.
It does, we've tested. What, for him?
Yeah. No, drop it.
Huh?
Drop it.
Yeah. You emotionless piece of wood.
It just frowned. I think I can see tears.
Oh, sorry, buddy.